Most people know the SAS for storming the Iranian Embassy in just 17 minutes, live on television. But across Europe, 12 Special Forces units have each perfected a single deadly skill, from rescuing hostages on hijacked planes to vanishing in enemy territory for weeks without being seen. This is what each European Special Forces does best, and when their specialty is needed, survival depends on knowing which team answers the call. But what defines the unseen edge between routine crisis and legendary operation? 17 minutes. That was all the time the SAS needed to end the Iranian Embassy siege in London. On May 5, 1980, masked commandos dropped from the roof, shattered windows, and swept through the building as millions watched live. Every movement was calculated. Explosives at the balcony, hand signals in the smoke, hostages shielded and hustled to safety. Only one hostage died before the assault began. 5 out of 6 gunmen were neutralized. The SAS set a new global standard for urban hostage rescue: speed, control, and overwhelming force, executed in full public view. In France, the GIGN operates with a different kind of precision. Their specialty is counter-terrorism and hostage rescue, often in the tight spaces of aircraft and trains. Operators train to hit targets at 200 meters with handguns, a claim French authorities stand by. In 1994, GIGN stormed a hijacked Air France Airbus in Marseille. The assault happened in broad daylight. For 20 minutes, gunfire echoed as commandos fired through cabin windows and rushed the stairs. All 173 hostages survived. All 4 hijackers were killed. GIGN's discipline and marksmanship under pressure became legend. These 2 operations redefined what was possible in direct action. Across Europe, every elite team measures itself against these benchmarks of speed and precision. In Florence, the Uffizi Gallery stands as a maze of Renaissance corridors, marble staircases, and centuries-old walls. When a knife-wielding man seized a hostage inside in 1997, Italy's GIS faced a problem no textbook could solve. The building's ancient stonework and narrow passages ruled out a standard assault. Instead, GIS operators climbed to the roof, then abseiled down to a small window above the barricaded room. The breach was silent and precise. As one team distracted from the door, the others slipped through the window, neutralizing the threat and freeing the hostage unharmed. The entire rescue took less than 30 minutes. Not a single artwork was damaged. Italian commanders later called it a textbook operation for historic sites: vertical entry, split-second timing, and total control over a labyrinth that defeated most police tactics. In Spain, GEO developed a different mastery: disappearing into the old city shadows. Decades fighting ETA turned their operators into experts at plainclothes surveillance. For days at a time, GEO teams tracked suspects through winding alleys, blending in with the local crowd. Operations like the 2002 Basori raids began with up to a week of silent observation. When the signal came, teams transitioned in seconds from civilian to tactical, storming apartments across multiple cities at dawn. Over 120 successful arrests of ETA members are credited to this method. Most targets never realized they were being watched until the moment GEO struck. In the heart of Europe's oldest cities, these units turn architecture and anonymity into their greatest weapons. On a blacked-out riverbank in Negev, 2004, Polish GROM prepared for a mission most considered impossible. U.S. commanders had called them in to breach a riverside compound fortified by insurgents and guarded on all sides. Instead of attacking by road, GROM slipped in silently by boat, using the waterway as their path. Under the cover of darkness, they crossed obstacles that stopped others, then breached the walls with speed and precision. Hostages were pulled out alive. American after-action reports described the operation as flawless, and from that night forward, GROM became the first choice for high-risk extractions in Iraq. Their specialty is silent entry, maritime, vertical, or both, striking where defenders feel safest. In the mountains and deserts of Afghanistan, the Netherlands KCT moved with a different kind of stealth. Between 2006 and 2008, KCT teams were tasked with deep reconnaissance in Uruzgan province, operating for weeks behind Taliban lines. They trained Afghan partner forces, mapped enemy networks, and relayed intelligence, all while remaining completely undetected. NATO commanders praised their ability to disappear into hostile terrain, maintaining radio silence and strict discipline. US and UK Special Forces routinely requested KCT support in the most dangerous valleys, relying on their record of zero detection. For these Dutch commandos, patience and invisibility are the mission. They are the shadow on the ridge, unseen until the job is done. Wind slices across the Finnmark Plateau at 40 below zero. In this darkness, Norwegian FSK teams move on skis, each man pulling a sledge packed with weapons, rations, and survival gear. There is no sunrise. For weeks, they navigate by compass and memory, crossing frozen rivers and snowfields where a wrong step means frostbite or worse. NATO exercise logs from Cold Response show FSK hitting every checkpoint first, outpacing Allied units who struggle just to keep moving. In these conditions, radios freeze and batteries die, but FSK keeps going, living, fighting, and training in cold that would stop most armies. East of here, the Baltic Sea turns black and silent in winter. Danish Fromenskorpset divers slip beneath the surface, each wearing a dry suit but feeling the bite of water just above freezing. 3 hours submerged at less than 5 degrees Celsius, then surfacing to attack a ship or sabotage a pier. NATO drills in 2016 recorded Danish frogmen as the only team still operational after hours underwater, while others withdrew with hypothermia. For both Norway and Denmark, the cold is not an obstacle, it is a weapon. Only those who master it survive, and only these teams can turn the Arctic night or the Baltic winter into their own domain. In the Swedish archipelago, SAG operators vanish among 13,000 islands and endless pine forests. Their doctrine was shaped by Cold War stay-behind plans, caches of weapons and supplies hidden beneath moss, bridges rigged for demolition, escape boats moored in secret coves. When foreign troops land, SAG turns the terrain into a trap. Patrols move silently by boat or on foot, setting up ambushes where every rock, tree, and channel is a weapon. They wait, unseen, until the enemy is funneled into kill zones. This is not a conventional defense. It's hunting. One-sided, relentless, and always on home ground. Across the Baltic, the Udi Jaeger Regiment in Finland trains for survival and attack in the harshest winters. Their legacy runs back to the Winter War of 1939, when 300,000 Finns on skis and in white camouflage held off a Soviet force 3 times their size. Modern Jaegers still patrol up to 200 kilometers on skis, carrying everything they need and leaving no trace. The word for their approach is sisu, endurance beyond reason. In snowfields and forests, they move at night, gather intelligence, and strike from where the enemy least expects. Here, the landscape is not just a backdrop. It is the ultimate force multiplier, and these operators know every inch. In the Shahi Kot Valley, German KSK teams carried everything they needed for 30 days behind enemy lines. No resupply flights, no backup. Every ration, every drop of water had to be planned and cached in advance. Operators lived by the rhythm of the sun, moving at night, sleeping in shallow scrapes dug into the rocky ground. The only contact with the outside world came through brief, encrypted transmissions. Local food and water caches stretched further than any logistics chain. For a month, the only certainty was isolation. If discovered, there would be no rescue. This kind of endurance is rare even among special forces. Far from the desert, Austria's Jagdkommando faces a different test: gravity. High in the Alps, operators train year-round for vertical warfare. In 2015, during multinational exercises, teams scaled sheer rock faces with full packs, using ropes to ascend icy cliffs and cross exposed ridgelines at over 2,000 meters. Every ascent is a calculated risk. One slip can end a mission. At altitude, the air thins and muscles tire faster, but the Jagdkommando push on, mastering the mountain as both shield and weapon. In these environments, time and terrain become the enemy, and only those who endure whether across endless valleys or up frozen walls, can claim true mastery over the elements. Across Europe, more than a dozen Special Forces units have each proven unique mastery, whether in a 17-minute SAS rescue on live television, a 20-minute GIGN storming of a hijacked airliner, or weeks-long KSK and KCT operations deep behind enemy lines. The evidence, declassified mission logs, official after-action reports, and public records shows adaptation to terrain, history, and specific threats, from urban sieges to Arctic patrols. Yet much remains hidden. Full mission profiles, training methods, and casualty figures are still classified by national defense ministries. What is clear is that these units exist because past crises, embassy sieges, hostage takings, and border incursions demanded new responses. Today, their readiness is not theoretical. NATO joint exercises and real-world deployments confirm capabilities. The files show a single pattern. Each force is shaped by its environment and history, specializing in what their country needs most. The rest, their current operations and future missions, remains in the shadows. When these operators are called, the consequences are real and immediate. Their existence is silent proof that Europe prepares for threats before they are headlines.